Alright, welcome back everybody to the Tactics Pulgar. We are still on the sort of mini quest here. We met the Fusilier, went to the temple, or not the temple.
What will running accomplish? You wanted it to end like this.
No! Never this!
Armies do not come cheap. You killed much of mine, so I had to replenish my ranks. Not to worry, their flesh is not long for this world.
Hooray!
I should think it gone already.
Your butchery ends here. Release her, now.
You are awash in blood, and yet you call me a butcher.
It's true.
Death means nothing to you so long as it brings you closer to your goal. Yours is a crude justice. You still refuse to accept the massacre at Balma Musa for what it truly was. Him or me, Oshion, whom will you choose? This butcher of Goliath, who embraces the very Galgastani who burned this village to the ground.
So, great factoid about this battle is,
or will you let this butcher
she is only recruitable in the lawful route. Okay? Which means that you actually you were involved in the massacre at Balma Musa, but only in that particular run. Obviously, if you go chaos/neutral, you refuse to be part of the massacre. She is not recruitable, like I said, unless you're playing the lawful route. And I don't understand why that is, because if you're talking about truth, oh, you're having a return for your sins about. I didn't do jack shit at Balma Musa. I ran away. Said fuck you. Maybe that's my sin, running away. Not turning around and trying to slaughter the entire army, rebel army that was sent behind me by the Duke. The rebel army. It's weird how even in this game, it's a video game, you have these key moments in the storyline history that you end up talking to death about, you know, because they're so impactful to the way the storyline or the history went, you know. The fact that, well, everything's more complicated than just, a one sentence summary of what happened, but what happened in the lead up to World War One and what happens in the aftermath with what they did to Germany leads to the rise of nationalism, which leads to leads to World War II and the atrocities that occurred there, but also sort of even prior to all that, the system with kings and monarchs and the changes that had been occurring over the prior 2 centuries, different philosophies coming about because of the fact that you had, I'm glossing over a lot of facts here, but like the major things in history are what ultimately lead to the things that happen afterwards. So, and not everything is man-made either. So, you have, there's a number of other factors in here, but we'll just start here. And we'll say that after the fall of the Roman Empire, you see a decline in technology, as the barbarian tribes begin to rise and take over the areas that the Romans left. And, sort of down the road there, about a century, or not a century, a millennia later, like 1,000 years later, you get the Black Plague, which kills a large percentage of Europeans, which doesn't completely topple the feudalism system, but it it topples it enough that it rearranges the social order, because with less people to feed, you're able to produce enough food to take care of your local village, which means that certain people, not everybody's got to be farming, to make sure that you have enough food to feed everybody. And then in turn, that allows you to start doing cash crops and other non-life essential things, including but not limited to philosophy, which then leads to ideas, people having the time to sit around and get educated or whatever, and then they start to, and there's more to this, obviously the printing press is an equally important part of the advancement of civilization, almost as much as the plague itself in some capacities. But you begin to, not only come up with these ideas, but spread the ideas to other people, and you start to question the status quo of things, in terms of what is not fair. And then, eventually get to the point where, the peasantry, the revolution came to different people at different times. In England it came, I wouldn't say early, but it came early enough that it helped to influence the way America comes out of their war, which will eventually lead to the French Revolution, which will eventually lead to the rest of Europe sort of modernizing in a way, from less of a monarchy and more towards a democracy or republic. And eventually that does hit farther west, including Russia, which, Russia falling in the middle of World War I allows Germany to take too much land because they want out of the war as fast as possible, with probably the thought that once they're able to reestablish their government, whoever that may be, that they would eventually get that land back in a future war. Because that's how that worked, kind of. And then, of course, Germany taking too much land meant that when they got defeated, they got raked over the coals. Austria-Hungary, of course, fell apart. They were sort of I wouldn't say the instigator, but they are sort of one of the catalysts for that. And then, of course, that leads to World War II, the rise of fascism, and a number of different countries, nationalism, fascism, came afterwards. And then, of course, you go back to the old-fashioned, this goes, what I'm about to say is like biblical, okay? This is how far it goes back. But you create what is essentially a scapegoat, What are the problems in society? Well, they're complicated, they're multi-layered. But what if I could just pin it on this one woman or this one man, and we can just kill him, and we can go back to normal, Or this group of people, if you will. They're the problem. They're the ones we have all these issues in the world. And then we just create an out-group, and then we pin all the problems on the out-group. And then when things improve, even though the out-group is gone, things have not gotten better. Well, you find a different out-group to blame. Or, I don't know. Something. I mean, I'm not a smart man. I'm sorry. But, it's all intertwined, and I find it interesting that, like, obviously it's a video game. You get to make choices which will determine certain outcomes for certain characters in the game. Whether you recruit them, don't recruit them. But in the end, like the big things that matter the most, of course, are the catalyst event. The one that pushed the storyline the way it went, and then of course your choice to re-side with the Duke, which is a little bizarre. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of a weird choice, or to remain, a rebel against the Duke's plan and how that sort of unfolds, which is hilarious because when you play, particularly the neutral path, I don't know about the chaos path, we haven't done it yet. When you're playing the neutral path, the Duke succeeds. Like, he's really successful at taking down the Bakram and securing his half the island. When you play the lawful version of the story, all of his plans are just either ill thought out or half drawn or rushed or not executed quite to the level he's expecting. They don't really fill that part in. But basically, instead of him being like the Duke being the mastermind genius behind this revolution that's going to help secure him as the leader of the west side of the island, all of his stuff fails, and they lose a big battle at I think it's Sanji Wild, which is of course another one of those things that not nearly as big, but if you're paying attention to the storyline, it's like the battle, the tipping battle between the Duke being successful and the Duke having to retreat and sort of losing too many men and being on their back foot the rest of the war. And then of course things change because of that, because instead of you being a solid, strong leader that's going to lead the Wallister to glory, now he appears to be more or less an idiot who's going to basically get them all killed. So, yeah.
The temple's secrets. So close.
So he's referencing something that we're going to come across later in the game. I just have to unlock the cutscene, but essentially all of these little... I don't know if we read the description earlier together, or if I did that when I was off screen, but essentially each one of these fortresses...
Mother... Father... I could not...
Enough. This gets us nowhere. Your life is mine now.
No, I'll never join you. I'm tired of war. And you fight on and on.
I want only to end this war. Please, you must believe me.
You ask too much. More than I can give.
I'll not force you. We'll leave you then. But before we go, you must promise me something. Do not charge heedless into battle. Do not throw your life away on vengeance.
You say what you will. Now go and never come back.
So she's not recruitable here. Anywho, let's actually move the plot along now. Now there's 3 different choices. You can go the front gate, you can go the back gate, or you can go the side gate. We're gonna go to the front gate. I'm just gonna go through the front gate. I don't really know what the difference is. I'm guessing the front gate, you're supposed to be worried that it's gonna be heavily defended, and I don't think it's all that heavily defended. In comparison to the other 2 choices, I don't know. Maybe it's the most, maybe it's the least. Hard to say. But we're going to do the front gate because that's what I chose.
You're bold to attack our front.
Aren't we just the cheekiest of cheekiness? One of the... I'm not going to say this mission's going to be super hard, but one of the things you got to be aware of is that you've got the high walls in front of you and to your left. You need to be aware that they probably placed archers. Well, I know they placed archers 'cause I was looking up there. Up pop. And archers have the ability to, whether you're in their range or not, possibly drop an arrow on top of your head. So we're going to attempt to take care of them so they do not do that. And I'm going to do that by using my mages to use their spells to knock them out. Excuse me. Yeah. Like beating up bushes. They're fun. You're like, hey, don't you do that. I'm a natural blockade preventing you from making a direct, I don't know, movement into this area. Like, you just go around me. Like, no. No, I'm not going to go around you. I'm going to go directly through you because I'm a jerk. What we do here. Please don't. You got. Don't shoot me, no. Sploot. Mages are not the best thing to take on archers with. Fishy. But they do have the ability to reach the high walls. So my options are use a flyer, like a hawkman here, or conversely, use magic. Or I guess you could also use a Fusler. I don't really find them to be all that. Not that they're not useful. It's just that when you start talking about a very high incline, they can aim directly up. But what ends up happening is the archers tend to stand behind the ramparts, which means that the Fusler can't get to them with their shots. I hate when, well, I guess I shouldn't say that because they both cost MP, but I hate when you're finishing attack and a magic attack costs, the magic attack costs less. And it does nearly the same amount of damage, as your non-attack or non-magical attack. Your finisher, as it's called. That's what I'm looking for. Yep. Wow. Yeah, I gotta move her in order to get him into range. That's stinky. Alright. Our worst things in this world. I wonder if it makes sense to even do what I'm doing. I mean, considering how far the archers to the left are from the main battle to the right, would they even factor in? By the time I killed the boss, that is. Mush. Nice. I know that's the ideal, like for Denim. I know it's like the ideal combination is to have be able to apply breach on a 100% rate by using just 25 MP. But I know there's more weapons to unlock than just the claymore that I have right now. And I understand where we're at right now. Probably the best weapon I could give him, even though it's probably not necessarily the strongest damage dealing weapon I could give him. Still, like the breach is a big thing, you know, because basically you're messing with their defensive stat is what I'm trying to get at. By doing that, you know, it makes killing that enemy a whole lot easier. But in terms of like damage, you know, damage for damage sake, I have to wonder if some of the later things you get are not Not better, stronger, you know. Please die. He's not gonna die.